firewall rule that doesn't protect a revenue stream, or an encryption standard deployed without a specific business use case functions as an isolated cost center and an organizational liability. This friction often stems from the distinction between governance and management. Governance involves the board of directors defining the overarching strategy and risk appetite, while management focuses on the day-to-day execution of the technical controls designed to meet that strategy. Frameworks like the NIST Risk Management Framework, Special Publication 830, and ISO 31000 provide the operational physics for this alignment, serving as the structural struts that bridge technical reality with business survival. These frameworks operate on the classic CIA triad. Confidentiality keeps secret, integrity maintains the trustworthiness of data, and availability ensures that data remains reachable for the mission. The security profession extends this model with two additional properties: authenticity, which proves a piece of data is genuine, and non-repudiation, which ensures a sender cannot deny an action or message. The inverse of these protections is the DAD Triad: disclosure, alteration, and destruction. Mapping the DAD Triad provides an attacker's scorecard, revealing exactly which security property a specific threat is attempting to compromise. Technical controls that fail to map directly to the business risk appetite or counter specific DAD threats result in an organization that meets compliance requirements without achieving its primary security goals. Effective risk management requires a precise vocabulary. An asset is anything of value to the organization, and a vulnerability is a specific gap or weakness in the protection of that asset. A threat represents a potential danger while the threat agent is the actor, such as a hacker or a natural disaster carrying it out. When a threat agent exploits a vulnerability, the result is exposure. Risk is defined by a specific relationship, likelihood multiplied by impact. In this model, if there is no mathematical likelihood of an event, the risk is zero. Quantitative assessment begins with the single loss expectancy, or SLE. This is the asset value multiplied by the exposure factor, the percentage of the asset lost in one event. A $100,000 asset with a 40% exposure factor creates a $40,000 SLE. To find the annualized loss expectancy, or ALE, we multiply the SLE by the annualized rate of occurrence. If a 40K loss strikes every other year, your annual risk cost is $20,000. This calculation provides a clear cost-benefit test. A security control is financially justified only when its annual cost is lower than the ALE reduction it delivers. While these quantitative models are precise, they are data-hungry. Practitioners often supplement them with qualitative tools, like the Delphi technique for expert consensus and risk matrices to rate assets where hard dollar figures are difficult to assign. This rigorous assessment provides a mathematical justification for how an organization allocates its security capital. Managing risk involves selecting from 4 formal treatments rather than attempting to eliminate every possible threat. You can mitigate the risk by applying controls to reduce its impact, or transfer it by shifting the financial responsibility to an insurer or an outsourced provider. You may also choose to avoid the risk by stopping the activity entirely, or accept it, which involves formally acknowledging and living with the risk as it exists. To make these treatments more economical, practitioners use shift-left threat modeling, identifying architectural flaws during the design phase before any code is deployed. The STRIDE framework provides a checklist for this process, evaluating designs for spoofing, tampering, repudiation, information disclosure, denial of service, and elevation of privilege. PASTA, the process for attack simulation and threat analysis, offers a different approach by simulating attacker behavior and tying every threat to a specific business impact. Implementing these frameworks early in the life cycle allows an organization to address risks when they are least expensive to fix. The level of effort required in these phases is governed by legal standards. Due diligence is the investigative step, the process of doing the homework required to understand a risk. Due care is the action step. It follows the prudent person rule, requiring an organization to take reasonable measures a careful professional would to treat the risks discovered. Failing to exercise due care creates a legal baseline for negligence, exposing the organization to civil liability and regulatory penalties. This liability extends through the ecosystem. Under supply chain risk management, A breach at a third-party vendor is considered a breach of the organization itself. Managing this requires contractual controls, service-level agreements to set standards, right-to-audit clauses for verification, and software bills of materials to identify the components within third-party software. An organization's risk perimeter extends through every legal contract and software dependency it relies on. All of these elements, the mathematics, the governance, and the threat models, converge in the business impact analysis, or BIA. The BIA informs two distinct plans. The business continuity plan is the management-led strategy for organizational survival, while the disaster recovery plan is the technical subset focused on restoring IT systems. This timeline defines maximum tolerable downtime, or MTD, the duration a process can be offline before damage is irrecoverable. Recovery time objective, or RTO, measures IT system restore speed. Work recovery time, or WRT, is the period for data verification. RTO plus WRT must remain within the MTD. To the left, recovery point objective, or RPO, measures acceptable data loss time, dictating backup frequency. Even with these plans in place, residual risk remains, the risk that exists after all controls and treatment have been applied. Senior management, not the technical practitioner or the CISO, carries the ultimate ownership and legal liability for this residual risk. A practitioner's mandate involves mathematically defining risk, structuring its treatment, and providing the transparency required for business leadership to execute their final accountability.